All right, well, Blinn stepping up on Haven, and even if it got pretty close at the end, still able to be bringing out the win. Now taking us to a map 3 in this series, both winning out on their map pick. Kendrick, something I'm sure you appreciated.
I do appreciate it quite a bit, actually, Sierra. I really do enjoy seeing more of Blinn, seeing more of Okeanos on Neon, because that needs to happen a lot more often. The breakneck, frenetic pace that Blinn is known for was tenfold on this map, and while it definitely led to a bit of a tough defense, because DZ was definitely able to kind of let themselves be known a little too often, a little too far, because of the sacrifices you make with that speed, but when they were able to take fights of their own volition, which was enough times, man, did they look powerful.
Oh yeah, and I love too that we've gotten to see each team kind of step into this duelist that's gotten this new breath of life. Also, just saying, whoever's bringing out the Neon is ending up winning. Just throwing that one out there. Yeah, it's nice, but Gomps, I want your impressions. You're the biggest Haven fan. You're jumping up in your chair. I thought you were about to break our headphones earlier. How do you appreciate seeing Haven back and at it?
I actually really liked it, but it did feel a little messy, and I definitely saw the strategy was there a lot of the time. It really was just picking off fights, finding some sort of isolation, but it's the same frustration with the A site where it's almost impossible to get the the re-entry, right, and stuff like that really does frustrate what the A side is and how easy it is for the attacking side to abuse that, like I feel like Blinn did. They just did a way better job at executing with the Neon to just deteriorate the mental of DZ and make them feel uncomfortable when those entries were coming in, knowing that, okay, Neon's just going to fly in and we just got to deal with it. So I think Neon might be the next best thing on a map like Haven.
I mean, yeah, any map that isn't just side by side, something super tiny, Neon has just been so good. And it's been really nice being able to see her back into the pool just a little bit more, especially too when you have two great duelists on each side of the board here, being able to see it, Corey for game 1 and then now Okeanos on game 2. It's been really electrifying. It's something as well that teams are really going to have to make sure that they have a really good way to be stopping the space being taken. I mean, I'm even remembering, Tenric, the one time where it looks like Adder should have this A site locked down. There's a trip here, there's a trip there, like all the util, and Okeanos just goes bounce right over all the util entries, breaks all of it. You need something else as well, even if this was extremely close for both sides.
Yeah, this is how I describe Okeanos to my friends is how I think I describe a lot of Blinn. Is Okeanos is an incredible duelist that cannot carry his team by himself. We saw that in Spades on Sunset, where he was always able to get his and played the early denial that Blinn wanted to favor so heavily, but no one else could really keep up. And now, here on Haven, we have seen an enabled Neon controlled by the Okeanos just go haywire. And so, two sides of the same coin, where will it land when we go to Icebox?
I don't know, but talking about that Icebox picks, this is not new. This is something we've had around for a while. So we definitely have expectations coming out from the teams when we see this map as our third end decider. I mean, Gomps, Blinn like that double controller. This is where they bring out that Harbor and that Viper. And looking on the side of DZ, standard good stuff all around. I'm curious if they're going to swap up or if they stick to what they know for today.
I got nervous, but I think they're going to stick to what they know. The Harbor, it's actually not terrible. And for me as well, like looking into the Harbor, the double controller composition, they actually work really well with cutting off everything, right? And making you feel uncomfortable, because we got to see that on the B side a lot, where like it was very, very smoke heavy. You know, the double initiator composition definitely worked, but I feel like with the composition they're looking to push with the Harbor, obviously, and the Viper, and leaving that Sova be that only sole initiator, I think is going to work out pretty good.
I'm excited. I think that there might be staying the same, but I'm hoping we get to see something fun and funky as we head into our third map. Age of Select's ready, so we're going to find out, and I'll catch you two after.
Thanks so much, Sierra. And she's right. We have seen quite a bit of change in the recent couple weeks with the duelist changes. We saw Reyna yesterday here on Icebox, but we will not see that today. In fact, we'll see the comps that both of these teams have been running consistently so far. And like I think both you and Sierra brought up, Comp, that Harbor is probably the biggest, not blemish, but biggest headline here. Because when Monsi picks this guy up, I don't know what happens, but he goes demonic.
Oh, yeah. And for Monsi too, I think this is the perfect spot to kind of show what he's got, in a team like Blinn, because I think this is such a weird map to apply the Harbor, but it shows the creativity as well coming through from a team like Blinn. And I mean, I'm hyped to see it. Dark Zero versus Blinn. I thought that was a W. And I think I might be dyslexic. But we have Blin versus Dark Zero. I just made a discovery today. I was about to say, guys, who messed up on the N at the end? But it was not a mess up.
Whatever the VALORANT North America stream brings you, as long as it brings you something, I think it did its job.
Oh, yeah.
We hope it brings a vibrant map 3, as it's DZ starting out on the attack. B-Dog still on that jet. Corey now enabling with the KO instead of the breach. A performance that I don't think we got to highlight enough, but came in clutch way too many times, especially for those fast retakes that Blin is so known for. And in turn, Icebox was known as Blin's strongest map. They're riding a high after an initially weak M80 with that new net edition. Blin was able to swipe away a win from them on this map as well. And that's the last time they played it. So feeling very confident about this entry as Dark Zero will end up going for that B default with the Gecko plant. B-Dog with the wide swing, able to deal a lot of the early damage, but upstairs we go, and that's where Blin is trying to go for the hard hold. Monsi from mid as well, and some initial pressure put on leads to now a puppy-guarded spike with the help of that water wall. In turn, Dark Zero will rise to the occasion. Corey having to flesh out Kitchen, and so we'll see the retreat happen from both sides. Monsi's going to end up going all the way back over to B main, while the classic snowman take from Mikey is preferred as well. Spike no longer on that high ground. Mike going to get swung into first with the flash drive. Should be an easy fight. No, Mikey still gets one. And now it comes down to B-Dog having to get an ace. But a Cove already placed, and so B-Dog knows Monsi is close. Both players quite low, but the frenzy potentially favoring as soon as Monsi gets the better angle, but he doesn't. B-Dog spots him first, and will grab an ace for his troubles. Already halfway, more than it, in fact, to that Blade Storm as DZ net the first round.
Guys, ladies and men, and everyone, that last game was just a warm-up for B-Dog as the Jet.
Yeah, he's here now.
Yeah, he is here now, and now we finally get to see the capabilities there, because, listen, the shots were on point. You couldn't peek the angle thinking that you were going to win, and it was true. Every single time we got to see somebody, try to pick that fight with B-Dog, it was a huge, already 5-0 left down for them. So, yeah, Darkseer's starting off strong.
They'll try to twist the knife a little deeper in this B lane lurk. Okeanos on the Sheriff, going to try and find an early pick. Doesn't go too well. And so he'll go for round 2. Sweeping yellow and searching for potentially someone to come calling. Not immediately, though. And on top of that Viper orb, it seems like they'll have to slow down even more. Dizzy thrown out as B-Dog is let fly. But the wall thrown off Okeanos. Perfect shot through the wall to at least equalize, as we did will spray back. But yellow is now open for business for behalf of Dark Zero. But Blin, it looks like they want to go for that control again. Spaz getting up close to just grab that Sheriff back and head back out as the Harbor util fades away. The toxic screen is thrown up. Every opportunity available for DZ to go for that default plant. And the knife guaranteeing that presence that they know they'll have to fight against immediately when this is let down. Teague attempted wide angle from the altitude. This is what works well. Shock dart on top of default. It's too much sacrifice just to keep Spike from getting planted. And Weeded and Adder can clean house to finalize the round. Blin keeping it pretty close on the second, though.
Dude, they just... I mean, regardless, the weaponry wasn't necessarily fair, but it's like a big change in the just the overall gameplay and the mechanics that we're seeing from DZ than we saw in Haven. It was very uncomfortable, and for a new map to be brought into this, it was a huge shot for Blin to be able to take that victory. But we are going to be able to see what this team is going to be cooking with, obviously 3 players settled down on A with some of that Killjoy util surrounding.
Oh, wow. Nice pick from Oak. And that's, Blin gets to have questionable presence on A site now. That's already a great way to start this bonus off. Now just avoiding the inevitable util dump. The Dizzy is first up on the chopping block. And now everything else will get thrown up in response from Blin. Okeanos is already back on, as Dark Zero don't have a completely staked claim, but good shots from Weeded after the call out from on high. Lets them get at least that opening frag. They'll push a little farther. Okeanos still not taken care of yet. That'll finally change, though, after the spray war goes in favor of them, and we did as well. Able to grab those picks, too. All of a sudden, a 2v1 But Spaz still might be favored in slightly with the gun diff, and swing it on to Corey. Just one more to find, and it's like he knows. But does he now for the wider angle? Yes, Spaz can indeed take care of We Did and keep this bonus as Blins.
It's just... I mean, first of all, that's crazy because they were winning fights left and right when it came down to DZ. So to be able to, you know, clutch up for the team really does have to feel good, especially playing onto that Viper role and mindset. But you can abuse a lot of the time the decay that comes with that. So I think Spaz did a really good job at isolating those fights and finding that. So 1-2 coming through, Blin picking things up drastically, especially after that. But there has to be, you know, huge awareness there from DZ, but they know they're doing things right because they're still winning out majority of their fights.
Huge rush from B-Dog. Immediately it's shut down by the high-low. That's a nice little landscape shot. You really do get to see so much of lane from there, but
yeah.
Blin's mid presence is a little up close, but they're cool with it because that owl drone will make sure nobody is going to invade too early. Monsi is safe and sound, as is the rest of Blin, who will once again just vacate A site, knowing that there's a lot that DZ have to throw at this immediately, and from there, the post plant is very much doable. This null command will not end up gaining that much ground other than to just guarantee the site. So where does DZ go from here? Where do you set up? Seems like one on Hell, one in the middle of site. Everybody from DZ just trying to set up proactively here instead of for that spawn take, and it will work to an extent. Mikey called out, and now the entry from the high ground, mostly shut down, but Teague is still making his way on just in time for Spaz to hop in. No shutdown by Corey immediately after the fact. Now the flash drive for the easy swing sprays through, and DZ will finalize their third pretty cleanly.
Yeah, Viper's Pit was put down at such a prime moment on the A site, which I guess is exactly what Dark Zero have a pretty good understanding of. You know, double controller, I feel like for the side of Blin used more with the factor of, okay, maybe if we, you know, set down the Viper util on the defense, we can play the retake with Monsi and see how that goes, especially with the ultimate being such a huge, like, area of effect. Yeah, you know, it really does come down to that. But it seems as though right now in this moment not working out as well as they thought, though. Gecko's setting up for the A site.
Big setup. That Okeanos really wants to deny earlier than he can. But he'll step back out again. Very brave, just to try to goad out as much of this as possible. The Thrash is going to spot out Teague on the back end, so everybody else on Blin going to set up their sight lines a little bit earlier here. They will protect Teague at the end of the day, but not Okeanos, who has to get sacrificed, so this retake is a little bit tougher. Everybody hopping in through, and it looks like DZ just wants to take over the entire site, because why not? The answer is, in fact, Teague, who, in not getting let go, is the only one to get any frags. He'll grab two, but DZ turned an A site into a jungle gym on this save.
Yeah, dude, 360 shot is crazy, but, you know, honestly, having fun. DZ, this is their best map coming into the last time they lost this map was like mid-season. So, I mean, they're feeling pretty good about it. They've solidified their composition. They know what they're comfortable with. I think the Gecko's performance as well has been immense in providing tons of early information to move it onto site. But I don't even think they're that aggressive. For DZ, they just pick that first fight. They know what site they want to go to after that, and then they really rush for that.
Yeah. This is a map that Blin do feel very capable on, but it's in spurts. It's in these, and which is funnily enough, the way that a lot of these rounds have gone is just like very quick fights that sort of just dictate how the rest of the round is going to go. But it's mainly like mini fights. It's like 3v3s or 3v2s on top of like a cavalcade of flashes. It's been very, very drip or drown.
Yeah. And do they got that drip?
Well,
seems like at the moment.
A side again. Yeah, I mean they feel really solid here. Ooh, big Blade Storm from B-Dog, searching for more, but the Toxic Screen will prevent it. Don't worry, rest of DZ has it covered, save for B-Dog, who finally gets shut down by Teague, but it's such a disjoint, it doesn't really matter. Sight is once again taken over by Dark Zero convincingly and quickly. Teague is alone for a couple more seconds, just going to throw a couple bolts in, see if he can farm any chip while DZ is still on site, but they no longer are, so that's an impossibility. But now you still take this fight. I mean, 2 for 3. Granted, you can still take this if you get the right swing, but we did hold up in the corner. That's all you really get to pay attention to before DZ take you down. It's 5-1 on this attack.
Yeah, dude, they just held that down. 2 players there. And I like this because it's a lot more teamwork than I felt like I saw in Haven. It was a lot of solo play. It was a lot of scattered mess. But also, like, you have way less angles to be watching. You can basically make sure that you're very much covered from each and every side, and they had so much information leading into this. So I think for Icebox, it's just such a good map to play for DZ. Not too much to think about, but also the perfect amount with the composition they have. But on the attack, settled down for the B side, but Spaz is looking to push up quite aggressively here.
Yeah, he'll get hit by that ink. Just goaded back a little bit, and the knife as well, just to make sure that nobody was hiding behind yellow for the early swing back. Looks like DZ want to fight for lane control, but not B-side inherently. And with Okeanos able to strike it, we did on that lurk. Kind of interesting. I guess, yeah, because Adder is posted over on A lurk right now. So he's usually that cutoff man that's able to get those first bloods to maybe open up a site. But unable to find anything, Blinn feel much more confident in heading back towards B site, where Corey's actually made his way onto. Checking the Snowman peak. Mikey, beautiful shot to shut that down. And DZ, a far cry from the rounds that they had gotten before, but that is where Adder collects. There's the lurk peak. And conveniently, here is Stellar, the IGL, on that wingman plant. So well communicated, so well executed. Adder may lose for his troubles. No, he can skirt the Hunter's Fury too. And so there's 2 immediately on site. And B-Dog is waiting on mid for the swing through tube. The stars could align still for DZ to take this in. Thrash to bite the bullet here, but B-Dog caught out by Spaz, so can't be collected upon immediately. Blinn just have to wait out the fight. Now that they have Okeanos, gonna start staring down the competition. Adder, a one-shot on the knives. That's simple enough. And the shock dart to immediately flush out Stellar, who will fall into Mikey's headshot waiting arms. Blinn will finally take a second round and do it with DZ actually running on the treadmill a lot more.
Yeah, they were actually able to use the retake wall down on A pretty efficiently, which I really did like. The Viper stayed alive. You know, we had Spaz kind of pushing through with that Viper Spit and Lockdown readily available in this round, and Okeanos looking to pick up an op. So down on the B site, that's going to be dire. But I think the way that Dark Zero peak these angles is just going to make it hard to even solidify some sort of pick here, because Stellar's just going to push through, with that flash coming down early.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason for Stellar to not throw this Dizzy out on lane like every single time.
Yeah.
So the focal point of that is just avoiding it, which Okeanos does with this fun angle on the operator. Get ready for a whole lot of those. And Corey, a crucial pick as well. Not a whole lot to go off of other than this Dizzy, which just got used. So take a 10-second penalty there, Dark Zero, as the Toxic Orb will guarantee it.
Right there.
Yeah, ready to set down the mosh pit, possibly pushing that to the extremities, actually trying to keep this team from moving back, but it seems like Dizzy, not too much kind of played into this one.
That was such great timing from Okeanos. Another huge peek on the operator, and another one on the B-Dog. No space is safe! Perfect intuition, perfect communication, perfect operator, and a perfect round for Blinn's defense, as early denial favors late destruction.
And they lost Corey so early on. Yeah, with a pick like this.
Flash drives are so important to this push.
And it didn't even touch anyone either. So it was like, you threw out your suppression. You didn't catch anybody because obviously Dash came through from Okeanos, luckily enough, keeping them alive for so long. So being able to get that first pick definitely played a role into keeping Okeanos alive.
And look, it's a stupid way to say, ooh, Adder, that's a fun high-low. An operator of his own to shut down the very aggressive Jet. And that is a thrifty round that is already in the wings. Monsi holding up early as well. And that will lead to a positive trade. DZ a 4v2 with a free A site. And the aggression from Blinn very well punished by Dark Zero this round.
Dude, they just eliminated everybody down on the board.
They're
Mikey
just going to save B lane.
Mikey does have up.
Yeah.
So it's not going to do too much, especially playing into the retake moment. But yeah, just keeping that. That's big economic like destruction if they do lose it.
Yeah. But like I was saying, I mean, like stuff like Okeanos managing that toxic screen peak so well, and I mean what we just saw with Adder on that KJ turret. It's like it's not like we haven't seen any of these movies before, but maybe I was like really sleepy or like you were on a plane while watching one of them because the way that the playbook gets flipped through from these teams is how the game shakes out. And if you know ball better on the day, then you're going to win on Icebox. And, you know, do not count out Blinn on this defense just yet because they know ball.
It's not over yet because Okeanos still is supplied with the op. So I truly do agree.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of potential, you know, especially now with the Harbor kind of settling down in A. The only issue is like you have what could the Sova... I mean, the Sova could provide a lot early on in gathering that information.
Yeah, it's got to be early.
But it has to be, you know, a huge play, especially as the momentum's starting to pick up here.
B-Dog floating down to the high ground as DZ once again meet an early Blinn. Early hold, early peaks. Mikey with the last one to find B-Dog, who was on that disjoint and has been a little perpetually. Starting to read that in the tail end of this defense half. But it's still a 3v2. It's still a very much favored towards DZ as the toxic screen still prevents any other peak than Mikey's, who's been slowly warming up over the course of this match. Viper's Pit thrown on for good measure. The spray through from Mikey will not grab a body. That is just tragic. Corey still gets to play Peacemaker before anyone else from DZ even has to get a word in. But the lockdown could bait out of this Viper's Pit to at least allow for a completely open site. And a couple crucial seconds for Blinn to act on. Perfect detain time, and Corey's just going to have to hide away. And Spaz is actually going to search for the fight while Mikey holds the defuse. And it takes the sacrifice, the spray through the pit. That cannot be redone. DZ will collapse, and the retake is still unsuccessful. Great effort by Blinn, but you're playing on Icebox.
The homeland for Dark Zero, and now Thrash is there, so it's just gonna keep getting harder and harder. And for Blinn to put such a good performance over on Haven, it is a tad bit surprising. You know, that things aren't going necessarily the way it's planned, but they're keeping the op. They're not giving up on that yet.
No, I think that Blinn are happy with the strategies that they have. But DZ keep getting the drop on them. And again, those instant drops have been so important this entire match to flipping the match the right way. It hasn't been about targeting necessarily. It's just been finding that first blood. There's Monsi's invasion. And on top of the Thrash, Monsi looking for another one. No, can't complete. So Stellar will at least escape, but walks into a site that is very much still watched by Blinn. So the scraps of health, not long for this world, but it was all for the cell. For the B default plant that Spaz cannot take on his own. Rest of Blinn come calling, and the lockdown now on DZ's side to guarantee that extra time rather than the Viper's Pit. We did hold up on the altitude as well. There are so many angles to clear, and Blinn has no reliable way of taking any of them, especially with all that space from the lockdown garnered. Recon bolt to look for something, but it's found out. And now comes the swing into the doldrums. Okeanos on the operator, unable to do too much on his own, but that's what the rest of the team is there for. B-Dog having to rush back out in favor of the double peek with Adder, as Okeanos will fall on the swing back. No way Spaz is able to hold this defuse, right? Certainly not. Too much to stare into, and B-Dog, the last one standing, to give DZ yet another round on the attack.
Yeah, it was going to be quite difficult the moment that DZ managed to push themselves onto site. And again, it really is hard to play that retake because they like to take control over more than just 10% of the site, which I feel like, again, it was something that we were missing on Haven. They didn't really keep that control. They ended up giving it away and then giving way too much space over to Blinn. But here, fighting for it more so. And B-Dog on the top of their game, which is what we were missing. And now we finally do get to see that B-Dog is capable of keeping this team intact.
And he'll be the reason that they scope out A site so confidently here. Immediate op peek that Blinn is just gonna turn tail on. Look at how much space they've given this push. They don't want to touch it at all. They need to let all of this flush happen. I mean, look at what they would be walking into. This is ridiculous. Easy plant for A site. It'll be a 5v5 extravaganza for the end of this half. And half of it is coming through mid. Monsi with the reckoning to immediately force Stellar on the back foot, though. And you are walking to a deluge. These are some of the strongest harbor ults we see in North America. This is where Monsi shines. But time is up, and you still haven't gotten on site. B-Dog, great follow on to Okeanos for the high ground, and so Blinn only have one angle they can manage on. Corey's trigger, discipline, good enough to catch Monsi on top of the tide, and is still good enough to make sure he gets one more for the road. Spaz creeping from flank, but no time and no chance no one's peeking that. DZ make it a 9-3 half on Icebox, and look to end this map 3 early.
Honestly, if they didn't finish with that coming through from, from Dark Zero, then I don't even know what would have happened there, because the 1v1, obviously being able to fight that one out down in 8, kind of just circling back to giving themselves that pistol round, which is huge. Actually, now switching sides, right? Yeah, I don't know why I'm brain farting. Now we've switched the sides. There is no pistol round. That was a huge round from Dark Zero, giving them the lead. So 9-3, feeling very, very comfortable, you know, in everything that's going on right now. But the defense is where we struggled last time. So, Tenric, that's where, you know, the worry starts to really reside.
Absolutely. And Blinn's push on Icebox, pistol round included, down to a science. You really got to watch for Monsi's util here. Okeanos is the one you need to enable, and thank God he wins that opening fight against Adder.
Yeah, that pushes back.
Oh, huge invasion through B main, and Blinn hasn't made their decision yet. Stellar's going to pop out to a couple heads, and DZ get a couple opening picks before Blinn scatter into an A main. Granted, it's uncontested, so they'll still get sight, and they'll still get a pretty advantageous fight, but it's a 4v3, and they have no idea where these DZ guys are coming from.
Yeah, they don't seem like they're aware of anything, but Weeded catches them off guard. He's able to get a very, very spotless one, with 13 health left on Stellar.
Just about as much left on Mikey, though. So many angles to check, but he will absolutely check this one, Mikey, though. Faster on the trigger. Excellent shot. And now the rest of DZ from the flank angle come in. No reason to hide where they are, especially when they can land the shots. B-Dog watching out for the shock dart, but it's Corey that takes most of the damage, and both of them are quite low to the point where he can finish one, but not the other. And with seemingly just enough time, Dark Zero, the cavalry will arrive and conquer. 10-3.
DZ honestly just want to close this game out. Like, they're running from a loss that, in their opinion, should not have even happened, right? So I think they're running off their past mistakes and kind of putting everything into this game as well. But yeah, Blinn fighting for their lives here, not being able to win out on a pretty tremendous pistol round. So they are going to buy. And this is where it really leads up to the question, you know, is Blinn going to be able to pull a DZ? Are they going to be able to slowly get a comeback going? Or is it just going to kind of leave it like that?
This is when we find out. This is that moment. It looks like they'll start out with that B default. And with those tides, it's so easy to crawl up, even with the operator, even with the gun diff staring you down, to the point where Adder is in such an awkward spot here on site. He still manages to get one, and with the snake bite, DZ make it work, at least initially. But now Okeanos is here. Now the rest of Blinn has screamed onto site. It'll once again be a war on two fronts, one from the lane, one from Snowman, but Okeanos now has the Outlaw on hand and is going to use it to at least grab one. Corey distracted for one as well. And guns in the hands of Blinn, but not angles. Stellar pops out of lane. B-Dog's Cloudburst giving away the remaining two angles, but Okeanos, there is no way he can complete on a gun like that. Dark Zero once again snuff what was such a strong flame from Blin Esports in seemingly no time at all, and it's 11-3.
They're just going to keep rolling with it, too, because now economy's, I wouldn't say necessarily down the drain. Well, it is, but they're still buying into this. They want to win. They don't care. They know that this bonus round is going to affect Dark Zero, so they're like, you know what? They're going to keep the same weapons. Let's see if we can pull back. But regardless, it's like they still have economy for weapons in the next round. They're just putting themselves even in an even worse position, but just want to solidify, you know, at least that we're not down to that match point.
There's still some time, still some guns, and still this Harbor that can really guarantee B lane most of these early fights, which is why you see Dark Zero going for the flanks of all things. This is such a funny icebox, and all you had to do was throw Monsi in the mix. I love it. I love seeing Blin on this map, even 3 rounds deep, even having such a tough defense. They are such a dynamic team on this map. Stellar walking into the fight against Mike, it'll win it! Lurk gone! And Blin really have to speed it up now. With Monsi able to get the opening frag on We Did, that is very much possible. You can at least get Spike down on default and then run back to lane, where you can much more optimally guarantee things. Don't have to duck into spawn, where it seems like Stellar is hoping one more will crawl. A lot of fight left to win, though. Toxic Screen can be on reload, though. And you have a good angle. You do not have to worry about too much here now with the screen up. And DZ gonna play the waiting game. Fun sprays from Okeanos. That's a nice little headshot that he'll look back on. But with the flush out from the Mosh, Corey's able to take over Yellow, and with it, most of sight. Now it's just lane control, close lane control for that matter, that Teague has been able to get 2 off of. Wide swing from DZ, no more bullets for Teague! And it comes down to Spaz, who doesn't have many himself. DZ hold down the line, hold down the spray, and hold down the spike. Match point, 9 rounds strong.
They are not giving up. And you know what? This might also be it too, because huge investment coming through from Blin. Luckily enough, with the losing streak, they are going to get a little bit more added onto their credits, right? So it helps them for the time being, but there's no ultimate settled down. There's a huge potential for Corey to be able to get that null command, and Stellar with that Thrash. So, and they're in such good positions to just farm that down in A, right? Settle down a smoke there coming through from B-Dog, allow Stellar to invest in that, and then leave DZ with the victory.
Knife early on to catch the potential lurk. Blin's presence really has been quite solid, and Monsi's going to try and sell some noise on B side again. When you have this Viper available on that second controller, you have the power to go for these kinds of things, but you can't make any noise along the way because there's no reason for DZ to shift off the heels of A site right now. Monsi has not done nearly enough legwork. They're hoping for this far rotation, but all they've really gotten is Weeded, stuck up over in Snowman. But B-Dog is waiting and watching. Double kill on the Outlaw that Mikey can at least swing back on and clear, but there's so much presence from DZ on this A site, it matters not. Monsi will at least win a fight onto Adder on the lurk, and Weeded is not in an optimized position to take either fight at the moment, so it's effectively a 2v3 as long as Spaz takes his time. Corey peeking in to the fray to see if he can get early yard on the spike, and that's the signal for Spaz to go on the run, but now there's the mid-watch. Are you in time for this? Weeded has a free gun angle, and that's gonna be all she wrote, surely.
Wow.
Monsi with a Vandal, with a Cove, with nothing else. And 3 bodies in spawn. No chance. Dark Zero, a 13-3 victory to cap off what had to be taken to a third map.
The victory that we've been waiting for, but also the victory that comes well deserved. Finally able to put themselves into that series win, especially with a new org and a big victory. Sierra?
Yeah, 100%. I'm not gonna lie, guys. There's a storm here. My internet went, my whole power went out for a little bit. I come back and it's like 11-3. DZ, I mean, Teneric, they're not playing around anymore. They're cooked. They want their weekend to start.
Certainly not, no. They were able to rinse and repeat so many of what attack strategies worked, and man, it really sucks to be a team that goes up against a team that's mechanics are just better than you. But DZ has 5 guys who just know how to aim and know how to hit their shots and know how to hit their angles every single time. Blin is so close to that, but certainly doesn't show in the scoreboard today.
100% not. That is okay. I just gotta say, 10 first kills for only 3 round ones is crazy. Blinn as well. The very first map Gompers, same thing. First kills heavily on their side, but I mean DZ. I mean they have such a strong backbone in that even if they're down a member, all right, GGs. They're just gonna keep on rolling.
It wasn't even about like getting the first picks either for them. It was like, let's just get the plant down and we'll figure it out from there. And you know, playing on the attack or even playing on the defense, they kept their patience on the defense, but more so like it was just such an upbringing from B-Dog that really did surprise me, because you know it was just not their best game, and they were able to clear the mental and pick it back up where they left off.
Yeah, I always love when we get to see a map coming out from Dark Zero that allows B-Dog to be playing on this jet, because it's always just really, really fun gameplay all around here, Tenric. I mean, this Dark Zero squad, without the coach, they bring out some funky stuff, they roll swap around, but it's always just such a good look.
Yeah, it's really fun watching DZ, a very chameleon of a team, really, and yet these players, they all are so good at the things that we know them best for. Adder, again, playing a stunning cutoff man up mid. If it wasn't we did doing the same thing. A Stellar, again, massive IGL work in the background, able to always be on that right spot for the plants. Just beautiful work all around.
100%. And even if he wasn't duelist for that last map, we still get the opportunity to talk to Corey, who is on the line now after that victory. Head on over to there. Gotta say congratulations for 2 things. First, the series win. Second, finally hashtag signed Turtle Troop has come true, being signed to Dark Zero. How does it feel? The team's finally no longer this free agent squad.
Feels nice finally to get signed and it's something going for us at the very least. Dark Zero has been very kind to us so far, and we're happy to represent them. So glad to bring home a nice little W for them as our first game.
100%. We're hyping it up and everything. It would have been a sad look if it went the other way, but this is a great series. Overall,
hey, is it ever a Turtle Troop game? If it's not 2-1, let's be honest.
Gotta keep it interesting. It's more screen time for Dark Zero. That's how we're thinking of it. Yeah.
Mega minding,
right.
That's for sure.
Exactly. I want to ask too, with this signing and no longer being this free agent team, Turtle Troop's a team that this identity's kind of been built up with you guys being able to kind of plan out your own things. Seller's been able to cook up these wonderful comps. We get to see the kind of switch arounds, especially with no coach on the roster. Is that something that you envision kind of maybe changing in the future, or how much do you think of this kind of core identity that Turtle Troop has built up gets to kind of keep living on?
We have no plans on changing everything that we're doing, basically. Dark Zero has been very transparent about not really touching the roster in that type of sense and or enforcing these types of things, which is like really nice because we don't want to coach, right? So like, it's just, we're going to keep everything the same. We're doing great with what we have. Our system is working good. We're prepped for every match that we plan. So we're just, hey, it ain't broke, don't fix it. We're just going to keep going and keep rolling with it.
Perfect. I love to hear that. That makes me excited for the future as well. I want to talk a little bit about that series, specifically that map pick of Haven, because when I was looking at Neon being the super viable duelist again, we did get to see that on map 1 coming out from you, but I was a little surprised to see that it was on the opposing end that the Neon was picked, and it ended up being used quite well against you. So I'd love to know your thoughts on the Neon on Haven, your guys' Haven in general, and how Okeanos is able to utilize it against you.
I mean, honestly, they played it well. We kind of messed up a lot of our spacing stuff, and that kind of just comes down to us. We blundered a little bit, just mainly because we low-key kind of forgot and or didn't know that the Haven was going to be in, so we actually didn't scrim it at all. We had one map yesterday, like an emergency map, kind of get like a rep in, which, I mean, honestly, we were really comfortable on the map regardless, so I don't really think that's like a good excuse at all, but I mean, they played good. We played good as well. We just got to fix up some smaller stuff on that end, and that'll be fixed in the future when we add more Haven maps to our map scrim schedule. So that won't be a problem moving forward.
Considering 11-13 for something y'all kind of forgot was in rotations, pretty good. So I'm excited.
Definitely a blunder.
Hey,
definitely a blunder.
Keeping it interesting, right, Corey? Keeping it interesting for the fans.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, we always do that. Whether we want to or not, it's happening.
Turtle Troop ways. You guys definitely clean up that last map quickly, so I want to make sure you can get on with your weekend. Corey, congrats again on the win and the signing. Have a good weekend, all right?
Hey, you too, Thank you.
Thank you. As for us, fun series to start the day. Of course, one more before we all can enjoy our weekend. It's going to be YFP going up against Dobros after the break.
They say in life, there are no guarantees. They say a lot of stuff like that. Slow it down. Play it safe. Hedge your bets. So what? You gonna listen to that? You gonna stop because they can't guarantee you'll pull this off? No guarantee you'll win? No guarantee everything's gonna be fine? In life, you make your own guarantees. Nobody else will light your way. Start your own fire and keep it burning. And we guarantee you'll have one hell of a lifetime.